Hi everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss some more questions of Commvault interview. If you are going for the interview, especially for the Commvault and the backup, then the interview definitely will ask a question from this part, that is DDB. Okay, deduplication database. What is DDB? Deduplication database. Okay. So, interviewer will generally ask multiple questions from this section. That is, what is the role of deduplication database in Commvault? Explain the difference between client side and media agent side duplication. How does Commvault identify the duplicate data blocks or chunks? Okay. How does DDB pruning work? What are the best practices if the DDB layout or the performance optimization? If you are facing some performance issues. Okay. And how do you monitor DDB health and grow over the time? And the most important questions, if you face any challenges, if you face any issues on DDB, then what logs or tools do you use to troubleshoot DDB performance issues? So there is a multiple questions interview will be asked in your interview. So we must know the what is the DDB and how it works in Commvault. Okay, at first where okay, deduplication database. So it stands for the deduplication database. If you break this point, that is the duplicate. Okay, that means it remove the duplicate data, remove the duplicate chunks, remove the duplicate blocks during the backup operation. Okay, so if anyone asks what is the deduplication in database, what is the duplicate, what is the DDB in Commvault, then you can tell them deduplication is the process of identifying and removing duplicate chunks or blocks of data of data during the backup operation. That means during the backup operation, what DDB will do, DDB will identify and removing the duplicate chunks or blocks of data during the backup operation. Okay, so why we need it? Then interview will ask why we need to enable the DDB. Then you tell them for the storage optimization. Let's an example. There is a with a lemon language, there's a two storage policy. I will cover this part as well. There is a two storage policy. There is a S1 storage policy and there is a S2 storage policy. Okay, and here we enable the deduplication, here we not enable the DDB. Hmm. And there is a environment where we are taking the backup of where we taking the backup of 100 virtual machines, 100 VMs, and in 100 VMs each VMs have the size of 50 GB. So that means you need 5 terabyte. Okay, you need 5 terabyte. What happened when this is attached to S1? Let's an example is saving the 80% and somehow 70%. Okay, so there's a some, if you are going to and create a DDB and there is some percentage also in your lab. Okay, so let's an example it's saving an 80% after duplication, after removing the old chunks, old data from the from the at the time of backup operation, then you need only 1 terabyte, and here we need 5 terabyte. There is a lot of difference. Okay, that's why we need to DDB enabled. Okay, so if is not, at the time of DDB they only retain the unique value. Okay, then what about the modified value? This is the next part. DBX database store the metadata about these unique data chunks and allowing the Commvault to reference previously stored block instead of saving them again and again. Okay, So this dramatically reduce the storage consumption and improve the backup efficiency as well, because there is a multiple factors in which the backups are dependent. Okay, what are the components we are going to use in DDB? So there is a multiple component, but how they are managed, how DDB are managed. So there's a multiple things. Okay, so if you talk about the how did we deduplication are managed, so it is generally managed by the storage policy. In storage policy, we have the data paths, we have data paths, we define the retention period. Okay, there is a one question: what is retention period? How what is retention period? So retention period is nothing but how data long you kept in your environment, in your storage. Okay, before it deleted automatically. I mean, before it deleted automatically. Okay, before their completed retention period, something. Hmm? Okay, let's jump to the duplication part. So how deep, and there is one question for you when the interviewer asks how duplication managed. So duplication simply managed through the storage policy. There's multiple component SIDB store. You can Google it as well. SIDB engine. Okay, DDB, if you known as the SIDB database, DDB partition. There is a multiple. Why we use partition, I will explain in coming lecture. Okay, duplication is centrally managed through the storage policy, and each storage policy can maintain own deduplication setting can associate the global deduplication. Okay, there is a two independent and the global deduplication storage policy depending upon the type of the data and the protection size. This depends upon generally depends upon the protection size. Okay, if you want to use the dedicated storage policy for the duplication, it create automatically. Let me explain. A dedicated duplication storage policy consists of one library. This is the main part. One deduplication database, one or a more media agents. For scalability and purpose, using a dedicated deduplication policies allows for the efficient movement of very large amount of data. Actually depends upon the environment, in which environment we have worked, or which environment we want to create a DDB. Okay, when backing up the large amount of data with separate data types that do not duplicate well against each other. I mean, it's what between within a family, you can say that, such as database or the file system. If you enable the horizontal scaling for applications, this is the important part. The dedicated policies are created automatically. You do not create, you did not I mean, you did not want to create anything and any click on the console level. Okay, global deduplication, if you recall them global, then it is, that means it will apply on the entire. Okay, so global duplication storage policy provides a one large global duplication database which can be shared by the multiple deduplication storage policies. Keep in mind that duplication managed by the storage policy always. Okay, each storage policy can manage the specific content with own retention rules. Why I explained the retention. Here you can correlate this one. Okay, however, all participating storage policies copies share the same data paths, which consist the media agent, disk library, and the global duplication database. I hope you are able to correlate everything. Okay. If interviewer asks you interview that can you explain the key features, I mean key difference between the DDB policies and global DDB policies, then you can explain two or three points here. Apply to the specific storage policy or the media agent if you talk about the DDB policies, and if you talk about the global DDB policies, then it's shared across the multiple storage policy and the media agent. There's a key difference. Requires individual configuration per policy. Centralized management for the duplication store across the policies. Ideal for isolated workloads or dedicated backup targets. It is isolated. It will work for the large environment. Okay. Best for the large environment needing the unified applications. This is a spelling mistake. Okay, got it. Yeah. So how it works? I mean, uh, if backup, I mean, if the backup option started, then what is the workflow of DDB? Okay, client backup the data injection is here, breaks the data into the small blocks and hashing. So there is a one bonus point for you. Interview will ask to you that which algorithm DDB used to identify the chunks or blocks. So this is the hash algorithm. Okay, hash algorithm are using by the DDB to identify or removing the data from I mean at the time of backup operation from the data itself. Check the DDB for hash match, new hash, store the blocks and index metadata for the matching one, update the metadata only. That means update the metadata only. That means let's an example. This is the data one which is created on Monday, and on Tuesday someone modified this D1 dash. So it only update the metadata only, not update the all data. I mean it's a let's say 2 GB, and the changes will happen only 0.5 GB. The final size is 2.5, so it's only make the changes about the 2 point sorry 0.5, not for the all to 0. I hope you are understand my point. There's a two word, pruning and sealing. So I will cover the pruning. Pruning is not itself a 5 to 10 minutes lecture. I will explain the next coming video. Okay, sealing you can I will explain, but you if you able to identify what is the DDB sealing, then it's helpful for your learning purpose as well. Okay, the next slide. Where is that? Data chunks and hashing. Backup data into the split into the fixed size block. Okay, there's one more question for you. What is the fixed size block in DDB for I mean in DDB? So fixed, that is 128 KB, and this is the default one. If interview asks what is the default value of blocks in DDB, then you can tell them that 128 KB. You can check for the 512 kilobyte as well. Each blocks is hashed using the fingerprint algorithm. Hashed using a fingerprint algorithm as such one are similar. You can easily, if you are working in the Commvault environment, then you can usually check which algorithm are using. Generally, it's using hash. The hash represent the block's unique identity. The second step is the hash comparison. The hash is checked against the DDB. That is in this DDB, DDB1, DDB2. I mean the data is present in there or not. If it's present, then it's update only the metadata. If it's not present, then it's put it. Block is stored in the disk library and index in the DDB. If duplicate, only metadata is updated. If there isn't duplication, then only metadata is updated, no data is stored again and again. If it is stored again, then the store's capacity is increasingly very potent. I mean, increasingly very high. DDB indexing. DDB maintains the mapping of hash values to the physical storage locations. Okay, there's a your is talking about your storage location. Metadata is stored in SID files. You can remember these files. Index cache folder. This enables a fast lookup and efficient space uses. I hope you come to the next one. Deduplication mods. Okay, maybe the interview will ask in your interview. Okay, tell me what are the mods available in our Commvault if you are using the DDB. So there's a two, client side duplication, media agent side duplication. So from the name itself, all the work on done on the client side. Client side, that means before sending the data to the media agent. Okay, let's an example, the client C1, and here is the media agent. So all the work done on the client level. That means before sending the data before sending the data to media agent. Before sending the data to the media agent, all the works has and comparison happen on the client before sending the data. And what is the media agent side? That means DDB is enabled on the client side. It enabled on the client side. Data is sent to the media agent, which perform the duplication, where data is sent to the media agent. I mean, if you recall in one word, before sending the data and after sending the data. Okay, before and after sending the data. Okay, let's jump to the next part, that is a pruning. I will cover the little part only here. Periodic cleanup of unused or the age out has interest. I mean, it will delete the unused data after age out. Let's example seven. There is a 7 days retention period, so data will delete after 7 days. Free up the space and keep the DDB efficiency efficient. Trigger the retention policies as and the space threshold as well. Okay, this is there's a little about the DDB. I will cover pruning, sealing of DDB. What are the steps to create the DDB in the coming lecture, in the coming video. Okay, let's jump to the next slide and go through the questions which may be asked your interview. Okay, your comment as well. I will reply your comment. Okay, so there's multiple questions maybe asked by the interviewer. That is, what is DDB partition? Why it is used? Explain the. This is the first question generally asked. I'm not included this one. That is, what is DDB? Okay, what is DDB? Explain the difference between client side and media agent side applications. I already explained. How does the Commvault identify the duplicate data blocks during the backup operation? During the backup or the backup operation, I already explained. How do you size the DB for mini media agents? You can work on it. What steps you will take if the DDB goes offline or corrupted? Okay, let me explain this one. If you're going for the troubleshooting, then first you need to check the logs. Okay, you can comment me which logs we need to check. Which logs we need to check? We need to check. Okay, what happens during the DDB migration and how do you prepare for it? Okay, what are the components of DDB and how they're stored? I already explained. How does Commvault handle DDB replication across the site? This is the architect level question. What logs are tools to use to troubleshoot DDB performance issues? What are the risk of running multiple DDBs in a single media agent? This is a very important questions. This is the live scenario question. Okay, what are the risk of running multiple DDBs on a single media agent? So there's a multiple issues. There is a multi. If you can correlate, that is the load balancer. Okay. Okay, guys. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts, then please ping me in the comment. I will try to explain your queries as well as soon as possible. Okay. If you have any questions regarding the DDB. Okay. Thanks for watching. Let's meet in the upcoming videos. Thank you again.